will probably hit it on now with James here. I'm gonna introduce you properly to everybody in a second, but just have a few housekeeping slides here before we start. So, firstly, for those of you whom I don't know, who doesn't know me yet, I'm Sirte Pihlaja. I'm the head of team at CXPA Finland, and also the CEO at Shirute. We are a customer experience agency. So this is the program for today. It's going to be a really relatively relaxed chat. You see what James is wearing, so this can't be anything but relaxed today. After that, we'll be taking some of your questions and try our best to answer those. Please use the chat window to add any comments and questions that you may have, and we'll take them as we go or at the end. Depends on how much we like your questions and if they're relevant to the point of discussion. And we do have a tweet wall at tweetwall.cxpa.fi where all of the Twitter tweets go after this, so we can make this sort of a live transcript of this session. Please, if you do post online about this webinar, we'd love you to do that and share the link and tell everybody how fantastic a webinar this was. Please use these 3 hashtags, so CXPA Finland, Elisa, and Shirute, so we get it everywhere automated. We'll have our own little bots going on doing their little stuff so that it will go everywhere. We do have a discussion forum on CXPA Finland where you can also discuss this webinar. We also already have a discussion going on there. You can use the URL here, or then just take a picture of the QR code and it will take you directly there. Also, we would love to hear your comments afterwards, how you like this webinar, and if you have any further questions that were not maybe answered during this call, we'll make our best to get back to them as soon as we can. I was asked to remind that at the end of this feedback, we will have a question about the possible session workshop of some sort that we will have as a continuation for this webinar. If anybody's interested in getting to know more about machine customers and actually maybe talk about a little bit of how they could deploy them for their own companies and organizations. And best of all, James has promised to us that if you do respond to the feedback form, he'll give you one of his books of your choice. I think you've written 2 bestsellers, so I think that there's a good choice to choose from. Yeah, I know. Rockstar. Can you tell a little bit about those books, maybe?
So they're not very good. So whichever one you choose, it will be equally as bad. That's basically it. One of them's a Christmas book, though. It's a Christmas customer experience book. Maybe you get that one. It's good. Okay. That was funny.
What's the names of these books?
So that's called a customer carol. So it's like a Christmas carol with Scrooge, right? Okay. But instead of Scrooge hating Christmas, Scrooge hates, wait for it, his customers. And it's the story of him. It's the story of him learning to love his customers. Wow.
Sounds like him, I think. And you've written also 136 quotes for CX, I think it was.
Yeah, ideas for rockstar employee engagement. That's a good one.
Okay, and then you have some one book coming up, I think, or is it always coming up on your website?
Always coming soon.
Okay, good. Hey, I think we're gonna start this discussion now. Let's go and hide the slides, please, and we'll jump on right to the discussion. But firstly, I will of course introduce James to you as I promised. So unfortunately, I don't have the flames to go up at this phase, but James used to be an actual real life legitimate award-winning rock star, and that's why he usually has his guitar on when he goes on stage. He did play actually in a heavy metal band which released actual albums and was touring up stages all over the world. James is now the CX evangelist at Pegasystems, where he researches how companies deliver these so-called rockstar customer experiences and tells about those transformations. He shares his insights through training, videos, and keynote talks. James was also awarded the UK's #1 CX influencer in 2020 by Customer Experience magazine. He is the UK's most outstanding CX keynote speaker or was in 2021. Let's see for this year. And the world's #10 customer service guru, also in 21, by nominated by Global Gurus. He has been mentioned countless times in industry publications such as Business Insider, The Times, and Forbes. He is also a 2-time #1 best-selling author and used to host This Week in CX on Amazon Prime. Yeah. Welcome, James. Good to have you.
Thank you for having me. What a lovely introduction.
Well, why don't you introduce yourself a little bit by telling us first what made you turn into this, from this rock star and having this career as a heavy metal player into a CX evangelist. That's quite a jump, I think.
It was by accident. So it's basically, okay. I think, and I didn't realize this at the time, there's so many parallels between customer experience and music. And I think that's really what made me gravitate towards customer experience. Because like for me, and understanding this now, I didn't understand it then, but I understand it now. Putting on a show for your fans night after night is exactly the same as delivering experiences to your customers day after day. So I think that's why I gravitated towards customer experience.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense. I think Bruce Springsteen has said something, quote, one of his quotes is something in that direction, that you have to, make a lot of noise to first have these fans, and then the most job is when you're actually trying to keep them as your fans. And I guess he's done something, because I guess there are still some people who know him as well.
It's a good example.
If we start from definitions, talking about machine customers, what are they really? How would you describe them?
So a machine customer is basically a digital assistant that interacts with a business on your behalf to get something done. That's the simplest definition.
Sounds really simple. Can you give some practical examples of these machine customers at large?
Yeah. So there, right now, you can ask Google Assistant to call up a company and sit on hold for you and then notify you when someone answers. So that is a really simple way of getting a digital assistant to interact with the company on your behalf to get something done. It doesn't always have the conversation for you with the customer service agent just yet, but there are examples of Google Assistant actually being able to do this in the future. There's a really cool video out there that you might want to search, or if you'd like to watch it, drop me a line on LinkedIn and I'll share the video with you, where somebody actually asked Google Assistant to call up and book a reservation for them at their local restaurant. And what it does is it calls up and a bot actually has a conversation with a very lifelike voice with the person that takes the reservations at the restaurant and books a table on behalf of the person. And unless you knew that it was a bot having that conversation, it's basically indistinguishable from real life. It's kind of creepy, actually. So in the future, we're all going to be able to say, hey, digital assistant, book a table for me at my favorite restaurant on Friday at 5 o'clock. And it will call up and it will have the conversation. It will book the table for you. Isn't that crazy?
It is. I've also heard that discussion where the bot is doing that actual reservation, booking of the table, and it really sounds, he's doing all the ahas in the right places as well, so makes it really realistic to the person who's at the other end of the line. Wonder how that's going to develop in the future. What you also say that the machine customers are going to change every single standard we have about CX and customer service, so that we are going to be looking at say fast, efficient, convenient service, easy service in a totally different way. Can you maybe elaborate on that, please?
Yeah, so imagine a time where you can say, hey, digital assistant, update my address with every company I have an account with, and boom, it'll go and do it. Now, this could be Siri, it could be Alexa. I'll say it quietly in case I set yours off. The Amazon one. It could be Google Assistant. It could be a new one that comes out. Who knows? But being able to tell it to do that thing and then it happen in an instant, that is a complete redefinition of what easy is. It's a complete redefinition of what fast is. It's a complete redefinition of what convenient is. So we talk about customer experience and we say it needs to be this, it needs to be that. Imagine a world where the standards we currently have for amazing customer experience are essentially completely obliterated when this world of machine customers provides essentially instantaneous outcomes to us.
This sounds all very fine, and there are lots of benefits for the customer that I can see clearly there. What about the service provider side? What's their take on this?
So two ways you can look at this, and I imagine there's two main ways that companies will look at this. The negative way, they could look at it like, oh, we really need to stop this, and they might try and stop machine customer interactions. They might try and identify them and not allow them to happen. I think that's probably a mistake, because let's say that I say, hey, digital assistant, change my address with every company, and it goes and does it apart from one, and then comes back and says, oh, Telco Corp don't allow machine customer interactions. That's going to influence whether I stay with them as a customer or not. So there's that way it's going to affect business. But in the positive way, it's going to reduce costs. It's going to make it so that we can get stuff done in an instant. It's going to allow the business systems to interact with our systems and get stuff done. Because the thing is, companies have been using chatbots and self-service for ages. And most of the time, it's not really to help the customer. They're not doing it because they think this is better for the customer. They're doing it because they're trying to save money and they don't really want to talk to us. We can do the same thing. We're going to start deploying those tactics ourselves, but it's going to allow companies to save money if they can set up their systems in the right way to be able to have, their systems interact with my systems and, autonomously, instantaneously make things happen. It's going to save them a lot of money, but also it's going to free up agent time to dedicate their time to, the experiences that need some real human connection there.
What about some of the potential challenges we are faced with as consumers and clients? I mean, privacy security must be some concerns and could foresee some potential abuse or identity theft cases there. How will authentication be resolved? For
definitely. So it's a hard one, because let's say I want to have that utopian future of being able to tell my digital assistant to update my address with every single company I've got an account with. That means that digital assistant has to store my login details, my security information, my everything for every single company I've got an account with. So that's a single centralized location that holds all of my security. And that, of course, in and of itself is a security threat. There needs to be things put in place. So what's to stop me going to my friend's house and saying, hey, digital assistant, change my name to swear word with every account I've got, just because I'm really funny and would do that. Maybe there needs to be two-factor authentication when stuff like that happens. There's an app where I've got to do a biometric thing to approve that happening. There's going to have to be really strong layers of security around that information, because if I hack, let's say I'm a hacker and I can dedicate my time to trying to break into one account, your telco, your phone company, for example, or I could spend that time hacking into your machine customer account and get your telco, your utilities, your bank, everything. I'm going to spend more time doing that because I'm going to want the vault of everything rather than that just one thing. So I think they will be a real target for people that want to steal information like that. But and people say, oh, well, you know what, James, that will never happen. Nobody will give all of their information over it just in return for convenience. Yes, they will. We do it already. Yeah. We do it every single day. We constantly give away security and data in return for convenience. like look at Google, for example. Google Chrome. Most people will be using Google Chrome. I'm using Google Chrome right now. Are you using Google Chrome right now? Yep.
Yep.
My Google Chrome knows my login details for everything. It knows my home address. It knows all my different credit card details and my debit card. It knows everything. So we're already giving it to Google. Why do we think it's a big leap to go that next step and just say, hey, Google Digital Assistant, do something with that information on my behalf? There's not a massive leap there. And the thing is, this isn't some future stuff. There are more units on Earth capable of being machine customers, phones, hubs in your home, all these different computers, even your TV, your fridge that's connected to the internet, your washing machine. There are more units on Earth capable of being machine customers than there are people on Earth. We're primed for it, and we're ready for this to happen.
It will certainly be interesting to see how this plays out and who will maximize this opportunity. I mean, there's this Gartner research that says that about 40% of people will be using machine customers to interact with customer service by 2025. So
yeah,
in a couple of years. However, I think people often fear change. I don't want to dwell too long on the challenges, but still, I mean, how do we get people to understand that, this is nothing to be fearful for, that it's just a convenience matter of convenience for you, really?
We have to show that it works. That's the main thing, because if people try and use it and it doesn't work and it goes badly, it's kind of difficult to come back from that. And it needs to actually be more convenient and help us. It's kind of like what it makes me think of. Do you remember when 3D TVs were all the rage?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody bought TV and it had 3D TV and it was like super clever, super cool. It would really enhance your viewing experience. However, it was actually a lot less convenient because you had to put the things on your face, the goggles to watch the thing. You had the glasses on. Then you had to find a channel that would broadcast in 3D, which basically didn't exist. Or you'd have to buy specific like Blu-rays or play specific game. It was almost ahead of its time. It was too soon because the infrastructure around it wasn't there. And I think that is probably another possible pitfall of machine customers. It's probably very possible now for me to be able to ask my Amazon digital thing to do something on my behalf, and it would be capable of doing it. But if the companies aren't set up to receive it, it's pointless. So it's going to need a concerted effort from both sides to make sure that the ecosystem is actually ready for us to go, because I think people are primed. I think people are ready to go. If we can show that it works, like if 3D TVs came out and you didn't need to wear glasses and everything just broadcast in 3D and you just had it would have been an absolutely massive hit. But because the infrastructure around it and the ecosystem around it wasn't really there to support it, it was a flop and it failed. That is a very big worry for machine customers, and it's something that we're going to have to be careful of as it rolls out more.
You also say that machine customers could really very well be the best thing to happen to businesses and customers in an extremely long time. And also Gartner believes that machine customers will be more reliable than customers and will result in more consistent financial benefits for companies and all of these benefits for companies. So also Gartner has been looking, I guess they're more or less the ones who we should say are the first one who have been talking about machine customers live. So their research tells us that C-Suite thinks that over 20% of their total revenue will come from machine customers by 2030. So there is a real up. There is a good chance that this is going to be huge. Why do you think it is we're talking about such a huge paradigm shift and opportunity for business growth when we talk about machine customers?
Yeah, so I haven't necessarily said it's going to be the best thing. It might be the best thing, but I think it's the first new thing in a long time. I feel like there hasn't really been anything new in customer experience for forever. It just feels like what we've been talking about is the same stuff, slightly evolved, slightly improved. And it's getting to the point where nothing new was happening, no new breakthroughs were coming in. This, for me, is the first actually new thing to happen in customer experience for an extremely long time, and that's why I'm super excited. Now, it might be the best thing to happen. I don't really know. I think it could be, but I don't know. No. I'm not advocating for or against machine customers. I'm just saying what I see and just my opinions on it. What was the second? There was a long question. What was the second half of the question?
I don't know. It's just about what do you think about that? Why is it that we're talking about the paradigm shift and the opportunity for business growth at the same time? So that it really changes the way we look at customer experiences, and at the same time might be a really good avenue for new incomes for companies and organizations.
Yeah, the income thing. So it's a really good point, actually, because for some, I don't know whether it would necessarily, I think it really depends on the situation, whether it increases revenue or decreases revenue. Because let's say that I always purchase too much of something and end up having to throw it away. A machine customer would be able to figure out the exact optimal amount that I need to purchase so that I don't have waste. So that technically would lower revenue for companies, but also it could suggest to me a better quality product to buy that costs more, because it knows my needs and it knows the outcomes that I'm trying to achieve. So it could increase revenue. I don't think it's necessarily the increase or decrease of revenue is going to be a byproduct of it and not necessarily like a direct implication of it. I think it, dependent on how it gets used, is going to affect that. So I don't think necessarily, I don't know, maybe a company could look at it and go, how do we use machine customers to increase our revenue? You probably could do that, and you could probably come up with stuff. That's probably the wrong way to look at it. Probably the right way to look at it is, how do we use machine customers to deliver the most seamless, frictionless, convenient, fast, easy experience to our customers possible, and then realize that as a result of that, it's going to help the revenue. It's a good question. I mean, what do you think? This isn't all about me. What do you think?
Well, I mean, certainly you don't need to wine and dine your machine customers, and they're kind of working on logical basis only. So in that sense, you're maybe saving on some of the marketing costs, really, and they are very data driven and certainly make decisions based on facts only, and not so much based on emotions as we do as customers.
Yeah, see, that's a really interesting point. Like, how would you market to a machine customer? So marketing to a human, you play on emotions, you play on aspirations, you play on fears, you play on all of these different levels of humanity, whereas a machine customer is going to make decisions, as you say, based on data and facts. Like, if I say to a machine customer, buy me a new pair of tennis shoes in this size and don't spend more than £50 or euros or dollars or whatever, it's going to go away. It would look at everything I've bought in the past, look at my standards of quality, look at the styles that I personally have chosen in the past. Then it's going to look at reviews, it's going to look at the materials that this is made of, it's going to look at the longevity versus the price, it's going to look at all of these millions of different data points, and within a split second figure out the exact perfect pair of shoes for me. And some marketing to that isn't going to be about, these shoes will make you look good, look at Thingy Federer doing a tennis thing, he's good, he wears these shoes. The machine customer is not going to care about that. It's going to care about the performance, the quality, the longevity. And so there's going to be a whole new discipline around, how do we market to machine customers, and how does a machine customer quantify and score the success of an interaction? So feedback scores, I mean, we won't get into the whole feedback thing now because I don't like that's the conversation for another day. But traditionally, we'd go, "Hi, James, would you recommend us to your friends and family on a scale like what is it? Are we going to send like a survey to Siri saying, hey, would you recommend us on a scale of 1 to 10 to Alexa?" It's not gonna make any sense, is it?
True. But on the other hand, as you have said earlier on, that they will be maybe being questioned on some other aspects of the journey. So that's something to take into account, that you might have to actually send these feedback forms.
Yeah, well, they're probably going to evaluate the interactions and the experiences based on speed of data, openness of APIs, accuracy of data. There's going to be a whole bunch of things that machine customers value more in an experience, and that's how they're going to evaluate doing business with companies. I think it's fascinating. It's going to be cool. Like, I don't have the answers. I don't know what it's going to be. I can just theorize, but it's going to be interesting to see how this evolves, for sure.
We have a lot of CX leaders, CX professionals on this call, so I'm sure they'd be thrilled to hear your thoughts on why do you think it's so important, especially for CX leaders, to not only follow but also lead the conversations on machine customers, and why should they care?
Well, it's a question of who's going to own it. Who is going to own this discipline of machine customers? Is it going to be customer service because they're going to be dealing with most of the interactions? Is it going to be customer experience because we're the ones that are designing the overall journeys? Is it going to be product because it might be an extension of a product? Is it going to be IT because computers? Like, is it going to be a whole brand new department, the machine customer department, that has machine customer managers run by the head of machine customers? I predict there will be a whole new discipline and a whole new career that will be based on machine customers. There's going to be whole new ecosystems and environments and economies built on. There's going to be whole new industries built on machine customers. If we as customer experience professionals can start thinking about it now, we can be the ones that own it and make sure that we're the ones that are crafting and guiding it. I think that's probably the biggest reason. It's a selfish reason, but I think it's the biggest reason we need to be looking at it now.
I wonder how it would be to introduce myself as a machine customer experience, I don't know, success manager or one of these things turned into machine customer experience.
There's only one way to find out.
I know. Eager to find out. I guess you will need to map your journeys again also for machine customers, since they are not exactly working in the same fashion as we are as doing our own customer journeys. Where do you think that what part of the decision making or buying journey do you see that the actual customer behind the machine customer might still need to be brought into the process where machine customers are mainstream?
Completely depends on the type of person. So there's going to be three main types of machine customer according to Gartner. We've got bound machine customers. We've got those now. So that's things that will do only what we ask of it. So I say, hey, digital assistant, book me a table at my favorite restaurant on Friday at 5 p.m. And it goes away and it does it. But on the other end of the phone, if they say, oh, sorry, we don't have a table at 5 p.m., we only have a table at 5:30, the machine customer will go, sorry, can't do it, and it'll back out and it'll let me know that they couldn't book a table because it is bound by those very specific instructions and rules that I've given it. Then you've got adaptable, like adaptive ones, that in that exact situation. Now, these aren't going to be here until 2026, according to Gartner. So we've got a little bit of time, but that's not too far away. So by 2026, we will have these adaptable machine customers that when I say, hey, book me a table at 5 o'clock at my favorite restaurant on Friday, it will call up. And then when the person says, sorry, we don't have a table at 5, but we do have one at 5:30, the machine customer will then look into my diary, see if I have the time, and kind of just make a decision on my behalf and say, yes, we will take that. Or if I'm not free, go, no, I won't. So it'll start to make decisions on my behalf within reason. But then you've got autonomous, and that's not going to be until about 2036, apparently, according to Gartner. So we've got a while to go before that one. But autonomous. Now, this is where the machine customer knows that I haven't taken my wife out for a meal in 2 weeks. So looks at my diary, looks at her diary, finds a time when we can both do it, automatically books the table on my behalf, and just sends me a notification to say, I've booked a table for Friday night for you and your wife at your favorite restaurant. Would you like to keep the reservation? Yes or no? And I'll go yes or no. If it's no, it will go and cancel it. If it's yes, it's already booked. It's good. Now that's me not being involved in the process at all, other than going and actually doing the thing. So it's not start. It's just, and a good example of this is actually right now with smart meters. So if you've got a smart meter with your utility company, it's constantly measuring accurately how much energy you're using, how much it's charging you, your tariff, all that stuff. Now, in the past, you'd have your utilities company would call you up, say, hey, we need your meter reading so we can calculate your bill. So you go and look at your meter, you write down the number. I mean, this is in the UK, maybe it's different everywhere else, but I imagine it's fairly similar. You write down the number, you get on the phone, you tell them the number, they go away, they calculate your bill, they send you the bill through the mail, you get the bill, you call them up, you pay the bill. You got all these steps. All of those steps have been completely eradicated by the smart meters. Now, there is an argument as to whether a smart meter is a true machine customer or not, because if the smart meter is owned by the utilities company, it's not really a machine customer, it's just an extension of their products. Like how if your printer reorders ink for you, that's not specifically a machine customer, it's just an extension of the product, unless they go out and look at other providers of ink to find the best ink and then buys it from, when in that case it is a machine customer. But now we're getting confusing. So the smart meters is a great example of, instead of me being involved in many different parts of the process, I'm not involved in any of it. I'm not involved in any single part of that interaction. It autonomously behind the scenes makes it happen.
These are all very well and fine examples mostly for the B2C sector. Do you see that there will be a need to separately design for B2C and B2B machine customers? And why or why not?
Yeah, I think so. There's, the way I look at customer experience, there's two types of customer experience. You've got transactional and emotional. So transactional is just stuff that needs to get done, change of address, change of a payment date, that sort of stuff, or a query. It's all just transactional stuff where we just need to get something done. And then there's the emotional ones that need a little bit more care, a little bit more attention, more empathy. When it comes to B2B, you tend to find less transactional stuff and more emotional stuff, but more like human contact stuff. So machine customers will be able to help with the transactional things. There's stuff that just needs to get done quite easily, quite happily. But in the person-to-person relationships, there's less that can be done there. So it can work in B2B just in the same way as it can work in B2C. But then I suppose, actually, and I'm just considering this now, right, philosophically, there is an argument to be made that there is no B2B companies. We're all B2C companies. It's just some have more B's in between than others. You might be a B2B to B2C company. Maybe there's some sort of alignment that could happen with machine customers across all of the B's until you get to the C. I can't think of a specific example, but maybe me at the very start of the value chain might be able to do something that would affect I don't know. And that's the cool thing about it. There's so many different facets and avenues in which this might affect things that it's hard to predict until you get an actual scenario that needs it. So yes, it can work in B2B just the same way as it can work in B2C, but I think the use cases and the scenarios will be slightly different.
Minna is commenting in the chat, or she did earlier on, that there's a lot of potential in repeating B2B business.
Yeah, so like a transactional type thing. Reorder that chemical. Yeah, or just rather than me doing it, if you can have smart systems in your business that understand your usage of a particular thing, and it just automatically reorders it, or reorders different amounts for different times of the year based. It's like, yeah, there's so much stuff that can be done there that will just streamline operations for me as the customer and them as the business. So it's really, really good point to be made there.
I think for me, one of the most thrilling parts for as B2B customers are concerned is like some of the maintenance things that happen in the background. We already have for the Finnish Kone manufacturer of well, people flows really, but elevators and escalators and all of that. So they have already these lifts that are talking to the back in the background and saying that, hey, I feel a little bit sick. I'm feeling worse. Can somebody send somebody here to give some maintenance to me before they break? So that's, I think, a really cool thing, and that's been around for quite a while already.
Yeah, definitely.
And then at airports, what they have been coming up now is that they would have these robots that go into each and every floor, and they take a lift autonomously and get between the floors there. So there's a lot of this happening already. It's a little bit challenging to distinguish between what is like I don't know, something that is machine to machine related stuff in the B2B world, rather than maybe machine customers. Or is there a difference? I'm not sure even.
Well, the thing is, it's astounding, and AI is doing some absolutely incredible stuff at the moment. So, for example, let me read you a story. Right, got my glasses on. Let me read you a story. So this story is right.
While you're doing that, I'm gonna paste something into the chat window for everybody to see. This is from GPT when I asked him or it to write me something about machine customers for customer experience professionals, and this is the first run it did. So I think it's pretty cool where it's getting.
Nice. So this story, post on LinkedIn. So we've all had those moments where a customer experience goes wrong. Maybe there was a mix-up with an order or a misunderstanding about a product or service. Whatever the issue, it can be frustrating for both the customer and the business. But what happens when a dedicated, customer-focused employee steps in to save the day? That's exactly what happened when with one of our customers recently. She was having a difficult time with one of our products and was ready to give up and take her business elsewhere. But then one of our employees, who we'll call Sarah, stepped in to help. Sarah took the time to listen to the customer's concerns and to understand the situation. She didn't just try to push the product on her or to brush off her concerns. Instead, she worked with the customer to find a solution that was right for her. She was patient, kind, and genuinely interested in making sure the customer was happy. And in the end, the customer left our store with a smile on her face and a renewed sense of trust in our business. And it was all thanks to Sarah, who went above and beyond to provide an exceptional customer experience. At a time when many businesses are focused on efficiency and profit, it's important to remember that it's the little things that can make a big difference. A dedicated, customer-focused employee can turn a frustrating experience into a positive one and can help to build trust and loyalty with our customers. Let's all strive to be more like Sarah and put our customers first, no matter what. So that's a nice little story, isn't it? Nice little story. Now, of course, AI wasn't involved in that story. It wasn't involved in that experience with Sarah. But how do you think AI was involved?
I don't know.
Well, actually, that story was written by AI.
Yeah, I was going to say that it was invented by them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I wrote a prompt saying, write an inspirational LinkedIn post about a customer experience that went wrong at first, but then was saved by a dedicated, customer-focused employee. And it came up with that story. That story never happened. It's made up. AI created that. Isn't that mad? What did you put in the chat while I was reading that?
It's just what I asked the GPT chat to come up with to write something about machine introducing machine customers to CX professionals in an inspirational way. So that was what it got to me.
Welcome to the world of machine customers. As customer experience professionals, you have the opportunity to provide your customers with an even better experience by leveraging the power of machine customers. Machine customers can help you improve customer service, automate processes, and drive customer engagement. With machine customers, you can deliver personalized experiences that are tailored to the individual needs of each customer. The possibilities are endless, and you can use machine customers to revolutionize the customer experience. Again, I mean, it's probably could have gone into a bit more detail, but still, to just be able to put a prompt in. Have you seen AI art recently?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So
I mean,
there's an app called the Lensa app, Lensa, and you can upload between 10 and 20 selfies of yourself, and then it'll go away and make really cool art of you. Let me show you, because I did it.
Sure.
So that's me as, I don't know, like
that looks very much like Thor.
Yeah, some
Only the hammer is missing.
Yeah, it's so AI is doing some bloody amazing things right now. It can write our blogs for us. It can write script. Did you know it can write poems as well? I got it to write a poem earlier. That was crazy. It can write poems. It can do the artwork. Soon humans are just going to be obsolete. We're just going to be, have you seen the movie Wall-E, where they're all just like fat blobs sat in the chairs that hover around? That's going to be us. Give it 10 years, and AI is just,
I certainly hope not. But I'm sure our kids will be, you know, too busy immersed in their metaverse that they won't be able to take care of us as we are you know, getting older and need some caretaking. So I certainly hope that I'll have some machine customers that are out there to look after me at that point.
That's pretty sad.
I know, but yeah, most probably. But you brought a really interesting topic there with your story that was written by your AI there, that's about human customer encounters. That do you see what kind of implication all of these machine customers, what they will have across the customer service function really, and what are the things that will reserve all these great empathy skills and emotions that we have been training our customer service or customer facing personnel to develop all this time. I certainly am a big proponent of, like, evangelist for emotion and human connection, even though I'm talking machine customers here. But I think that there must be a way to kind of mix and match these two things.
Yeah, it's difficult because, of course, we've spent so much time trying to build, you know, emotion and empathy into our experiences, training agents to be empathetic. With a machine customer is not going to care about that at all. In fact, they'll probably find it quite annoying. Like if the machine customer is trying to do something and the agent's trying to build empathy. So what's the weather like with you today? There isn't any weather because I'm a computer. So just get on and do the thing, please. So it's going to be about how do we square that circle? How do we identify what the machine customers are, and then let the agents know it's a machine customer? You can just give them the details. But surely if you can identify a machine customer, you should just be able to service that machine customer without any human interaction from the business side. Surely that should be the way we go. But hopefully what that's going to do is it's going to free up agent time. As I said earlier, that when it comes to the experiences that do need that human connection, they're not feeling that they're rushed, and they're feeling that they're empowered to spend real time to build that real connection, build that real emotion, and deliver those emotional experiences that really build relationships with customers. And again, it comes back to that transactional and emotional. It's like I'm the sort of customer that if I call up to change my address, it actually quite annoys me when a customer's trying to build empathy with me. So I'm like, look, I just need my address changed, please. Just do the thing. And I know a lot of times it's because their systems are slow. And they're not working, and they're going, so you ready for Christmas? And of course I'm just annoyed. I'm like, I'm never rude to them, never ever. I think that's a real red flag if someone's rude to a customer service person or anyone that's serving you in any way, shape or form. I think it's like a really like bad trait of people. And I've actually distanced myself from people that I've seen being rude to either taxi drivers or waitresses or waiters in restaurant. And because I just think it's like, so I'm never rude to them, but I'm sat there like, oh, please just do the thing, because I've got 10 other companies I've got to call, and I could really do with
Yeah,
this bit.
I
But
think.
yeah, so I'm not sure what my point was there, but
Never mind. We still need those human connections,
yeah,
I believe, so to
yeah.
reinforce the fact. Actually, we have a question for Risto Matti here. He's asking about how about machine customers and loyalty. Do they boost loyalty? Is there a way to help that? Very good question there, I think.
Yes and no. I think it depends. I think in a way it could erode loyalty, because loyalty is a human emotion. Is it an emotion, or whatever? It's a human thing.
Mm.
Not necessarily just humans, because like dogs are loyal, but it's like it's just an organic thing. I don't think computers can be loyal. I don't think they have the capacity to be loyal. As far the my machine customer, if it were to be loyal, it's going to be loyal to me and not to any company, and it's going to try and find the best solution for me, no matter what the company. But sometimes customer loyalty is there because we're just far too lazy to find other options or to do other research. Not all customer loyalty is a good thing. Not all customer loyalty comes because customers like you as a company. A lot of it can come because we're lazy and can't be bothered to change for something else. A machine customer doing something on my behalf within an instant can evaluate every possible thing they could possibly buy, and they're not going to choose it based on loyalty. They're going to choose it based on the best thing. Now, there might be some sort of loyalty schemes that could influence a machine customer to be loyal towards a particular company, because if they know, okay, this thing here is a slightly better deal, but if I buy it from this company, we're going to get points that will then actually make it a better deal in the long run, and maybe that will do it. But there's not going to be any emotional loyalty to any companies from machine customers. So I think arguably it could erode loyalty.
Which it shall remain to be seen, I guess.
I don't know. That's just me, my theory. Like, it's a really good question, and yeah, on first thought, I think it actually could go the other way.
We are taking now questions from anybody in the audience, so please start writing them in the chat. We have a few already that came during our discussion. So Minna is asking, what is your view on the customer experience of current chatbots in customer service? Many companies are still struggling with this, so the conversation partner of the machine customers may not be very capable to handle customer requests and inquiries. Yeah. That's for chatbots. But maybe we should do a distinction here between chatbots and then machine customers, because it's the other way around there.
Yeah. So I get the question. It's basically saying, if we can't get chatbots right, how are we going to get this machine customer stuff right? It's a good question. Yeah, a lot of chatbots are very poor, and they're essentially glorified search engines. It's just what they are. Some are really actually quite good, and you can get stuff done. It depends what's in the background, because the chatbot shouldn't be the solution in and of itself. It should just be the channel. Realistically, if you're designing your technology properly, you would have a centralized place that holds the logic, holds the customer journeys, understands the outcome that needs to be delivered, and can take work from the moment of need through to completion. And that could then be completed on WhatsApp, through the phone, through the website, through a chatbot. It's something that Pega do very well. If you want to chat about it, you can reach out to me. But a chatbot in and of itself as the point solution, it's never going to be able to do the stuff we as customers really want it to do. It's never going to be able to complete work. And that's the big difference. Being able to give me information about stuff is one thing. Being able to complete work and actually get to an outcome is something very, very different. And it's something that most chatbots are just incapable of doing, because you need a bigger system around it that doesn't use the chatbot as the technology, but uses the chatbot as a channel, as a vessel for that centralized logic and that centralized message.
Nevertheless, I think that there is a need for us to, as companies delivering customer experiences, to understand how to kind of get better results on this front of maybe utilizing these AIs and all of that to help out. You were mentioning earlier on about, or talking about these 4 types of customers. So there's like person-to-person customers, and then you have the chatbots and basically going all the way to machine. So maybe there's also a kind of development track here that machine customers won't be really up to it yet, but in the long run, I certainly see that there is a possibility looking at the pace of development with the AI at the moment, and conversational AI specifically. It's incredible.
Yeah, agreed. So I'm not sure that I went over all of like the P2P, P2M thing. So I'll go over that really quick. So in the future, there'll be 4 main types of interactions with companies. P2P, that's person to person. It's me calling up, speaking to a person, or me interacting with a person in real life. That happens all the time now. That's the basic one. You've got P2M, which is person to machine. So that's me using a chatbot or some sort of self-service thing, or even me withdrawing money from an ATM, like a cash machine. That's person to machine. Then you've got the new ones that are going to come from machine customers. So machine to person, that's when my machine interacts with a real person at a company to get something done. So the example, when a bot calls up to make a reservation, or the holy grail, the one that we really want to get to machine, where my machines play nicely with your machines and just make stuff happen like that.
Yep. Juha is actually, in fact, asking a question about that. What is the machine customer platform landscape during following years? Do AI leaps the global giants will dominate? Not sure what he means by.
Yeah, I'm not sure I understand the question. Ask the question in a different way.
Hannu is asking to consider a close future B2B sales negotiation. Purchase team equals purchase manager with digital consultant, i.e. a bot, and sales team is a sales manager with digital consultant, another bot. Is this realistic? In this case, the person changes to ... I don't know. Again,
yeah, I mean, that would be pretty cool if you could just go, hey, B2B digital assistant, go and buy the best customer service platform for our company's needs. And it knows the company, it knows the needs, it knows the type of customers you've got, knows the things you're trying to achieve, and just analyzes the market. No emotion involved whatsoever. Looks at the features, looks at the quality, looks at the and then just goes, here you go. It's probably going to be Pega, let's be honest. That's going to be the answer to all of your questions. But I'm sure there's other things too. But it would come out and say, this is the perfect thing for you. That'd be pretty cool. I think that would be really interesting, actually.
Kaisa is thanking us for addressing this very interesting topic. She asks, or comments, I don't know, that she guesses that the user could also input their own values and for instance, loyalty preferences as parameters to their machine representation. So kind of like putting into these rules.
Yeah. So like if I like a company more because it's dedicated to the environment, maybe I can weight the way that my machine customer makes decisions. So because that's the thing as well, everybody's values are different, and that's what machine customers are going to have to really learn. Like, not everyone's the same. So my machine customer will know what I value completely different to the way your machine customer knows your values. Let's say my machine customer knows that I care about the environment and I care about equality, so it's going to look for more companies that also care about that stuff. Who knows? That I'm just throwing it out there. Or maybe I can get in there and be like, I don't want to use this specific company because of whatever reason. There will probably be parameters for us to be able to drive it in different directions. I mean, right now, that's where we're at. I mean, it's only really going to be in the future where it's completely autonomous. And, like the sensors in my socks notice that I've got a hole in my sock, and then or I'm going to get a hole in my sock in 3 weeks because it knows that. So it automatically buys me new socks that I get. Yeah, that's quite far away. It probably will be the future, which is crazy to think of. But right now, and for the foreseeable future, we're going to be in control of those parameters until we give complete control over and just go, just get me the best thing. Don't care, just get me the best thing.
Certainly, there are already all these health monitoring devices that are calling for you, the doctor, and things like that. So I can see an evolution there that really is for all of our benefit. Juha is coming back with a rephrased question. How does the machine customer platforms landscape look like going forward?
I mean, if we're asking about like specific platforms, specific vendors, I think probably Google is the best placed right now to take advantage of this. And again, this is mainly because of Google Chrome, because we've already given it all of our details. It's got access to all of our accounts with literally every company we do business with. It's got our card details. So I think Google is probably best suited to create a platform to make it work together. Amazon is pretty good, but we do have to remember that the Amazon person, I don't want to say the name because it's going to set everybody's thing up. That thing, it's not interacting with other companies. It's only still interacting with itself. So I can tell my Amazon digital assistant to reorder the guitar strings I ordered last week, and it will do it. But that's not really technically a machine customer because it's interacting with itself. It's an extension of Amazon, the company. It's not like going out and searching the web for every single guitar string company that exists, finding me the absolute best deal for guitar strings, and then ordering from some other website. It's only ever ordering from Amazon.com. So, whereas that's kind of good, it's not proven interacting with other companies yet. Siri is again a different story because it's not very good at all. Like if I ask it to set an alarm, it only understands me like half of the time as it is. So I think we're probably bottom of the pack right now in being able to create that platform for others. That's just my opinion, but that's the way I see it. Do you see it that way too?
Yeah, there will be definitely these giants who have taken many leaps forward in this, but then there's like a lot of room for real CX professionals to help companies to understand how to utilize these different platforms, and I think that's where it lies. And I'm talking CX professionals, whether they be internal or external to the company, because it's one thing to have a technology, but then to actually utilize it in a way that in fact lowers the effort for the customers then is another thing.
Yeah.
We have one more question here from Aldin. Hi Aldin, by the way. He's asking where we are standing with MCX, machine customer experience, and what about next development steps. So on to you, James.
Hang on. And where's this question?
It's in the chat. So what are the next developments?
Right, so we've already created an acronym for it. I like that. So where are we standing with machine customer experience? What about next? So
I think we touched upon that where we were talking about this.
Where we are right now is it's still fairly primitive. We do have things like the smart meters that are interacting with businesses on our behalf. We do have things like Google Assistant that can sit on hold for you. We do have machines around our house that will let us know when they're due for a repair because things are going wrong. Same with cars. Cars are doing it quite well. So that's kind of where we are right now. And I think the next steps is probably just going to be more of that. I don't think we're at the stage yet where that's going to evolve and advance. I think we're at the stage where we need to get more wider adoption of that so that we're all like, yeah, okay, things do that. That's really cool. Before we can move on to the next stage. That's pretty much where we're at right now.
To finish off, I would like to ask a question, maybe to round all of and summarize what we have been discussing here. So, a two-part question. Firstly, what new skill sets and competency areas do you think that CX professionals will need to develop in order to be good at machine customer experiences or MCX? And where should we all start? What are the 3 best steps to move forward with this?
It's going to be data. Data is going to be like understanding data, understanding how to take millions of data points and make sense of them, understanding AI, the capabilities of AI, the limitations of AI, the biases of AI. That's the sort of stuff we're going to have to start to learn as customer experience professionals. Like, to leave it on 3 things to do moving forward. Number 1, you got to prepare. Think about what are the scenarios that are likely going to involve machine customers first, and it's probably going to be simple customer service experiences, customer service interactions, and then what's the impact going to be on our business. So you need to figure that out. Next, you need to figure out who is going to own it. Is it going to be you, the customer experience professional, or is it going to be someone else in the business? I think it would be good if customer experience owns it, but we're probably going to need people from every different part of the business coming together to figure this out. And then 3 is making sure you're going to have the capacity to double down on the remaining person-to-person experiences, because dehumanizing all of these experiences might be good to cut costs, but for customers, it's not always great. Getting that transactional, boring stuff automated and fantastic, but then trying to dehumanize experiences that really do need a human touch, it's the exact wrong way to go. The exact right way to go is doubling down on those human experiences to make sure that when a customer does actually get the chance to interact with a human from your company, they get the time and care, attention, empathy, and emotion that they really need.
Yeah, I certainly think that we're not here to evangelize machine customers and pitching them against any human connection. Quite the opposite. But let's try to work out that get the best of both worlds there. I think is the kind of what we need to do here. Can I get the slides back, please? Just quickly to summarize this. And while we're doing that, Pia Tormilainen is commenting here that, have you read the book Quality Land by Mark Uwe Kling? So that is probably something that she's recommending on this.
Quality Land. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, so maybe we all should read that book. This has taken us to finally the end of our discussion here. I'm sorry, we're at the top of the hour, a little bit past the hour already. I would have loved to continue this discussion with you, Jane. So thank you so much for being here. And I guess we will need that other session, which we're asking about in this feedback form. So if there's anybody who would be interested in talking more about machine customers, then we might take it into the practical level in a other workshop with invitation only. So you need to put in the good word if you're interested in moving forward to that. We will be having similar webinars in the coming weeks, months. I think that the next one, we haven't set the date yet, but it's going to be sometime in the early times next year. So please keep a keen eye on our cxpa.fi/events page, and of course our social media channels to know more. And if you haven't already subscribed to our CXPA Finland newsletter, we are always happy to have you subscribe, so you will get the invites as we release them. Another thing I wanted to remind everybody on this is the CCXP, so the Certified Customer Experience Professionals accreditation. Please have a look at that if you're not already having these credentials. It's really a good way to prove your quality and your professionalism in customer experience. So it's a credential created by CXPA, the association, at ccxp.org or on our own website at cxpa.fi in Finnish. And there's also on our discussion for another discussion thread about if there's anybody who's currently envisioning to become a CCXP, where we're giving some tips, and there's a discussion of between people who have actually taken it, that what is important to know before you go and apply for the CCXP test on exam. So thank you very much for everybody who has been here to support us to help make this webinar and our activities possible during this year and the coming year. James, one more question for you. If people are interested in talking more about machine customers and or asking anything about customer experience really from you, how might they be able to be in touch with you?
Yeah, so get me on LinkedIn. Just type in James Dudkins. There's not very many of us, and it'll be obvious which one is me. Or drop me an email at jd@pega.com.
Okay, jd@pega.com. And so thank you everybody for joining us, and we'll be make sure that we answer any remaining questions if you're putting them in the chat, and you can of course send them to us to our feedback channels later on as well. So thank you everybody, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar and got a little bit of new ideas about what machine customers are and how they might maybe affect your business and your profession in the future. Thank you.